Welcome to the Power of Women. I am your host, Teso the Starseed, and of course, I'm joined by my co-host,
Tori J.
Tori J.
Let's get into it,
Anyway, how you
girl.
doing, bro? What's going on? Things with
I'm
you?
okay. I'm okay. You know, one thing that I've heard recently, I've heard it before, but I've heard it a lot recently. And I hear it in specific conversations when guys are talking about like what makes a woman like you know, marriage quality or wifey material, you know, that kind of nonsense. And then they
Right,
talk about why somebody is not that quality or like a woman is a
right,
hoe and the reasons why she's a hoe.
right.
And I hear men say things like, you know, or they won't take a woman serious if she sleeps with them on the first date or if she, you know, just whatever it is.
Right.
It really
What does
bothers
Boozy
me,
like to
bruh.
say? She's been run through. What did Boozy say one time? I think
Oh, they love
Boozy
to say
spoke about,
that when a woman's been ran through.
yeah. Who was it? Who
So
made him so angry?
what what do you call it when a
The man is
man
doing this
have you not been
piping
ran
down.
through?
Like, you're the one. Do you know what I mean?
You just
Like,
slanging it and giving it to everybody? Like who
who said, oh,
wants you?
Laurie Harvey. It was
Oh
Laurie
yeah, I do
Harvey. Don't you
remember that.
remember? It was Boozy. He was so mad. How dare she? How dare she? And she
Mm-hmm.
was just dating, as far as we know. She may not have been sleeping
Mm-hmm.
with them. He was so mad. Like, how
Mm-hmm.
dare, and because it was coming from an empowering angle. So it was like, no, she don't. Ladies, don't you dare look up to her. She just been run through. She ain't empowered.
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
okay.
that. I do remember that. You know, it's
Mm.
funny because men feel like even when you're single and you're just dating, that you're supposed to commit to them. And it's like,
And they feed
dude, I
us that
don't.
from a very young age, man.
Yeah, because you want to prove yourself. So when you go on a
Yeah.
date with
I'm a
somebody
good
and you
girl.
like him, you a good girl. Like, no, I'm not talking to
Okay.
nobody.
Oh my
Like,
God, this stealing
only
my
talking to
lyric.
you. It's like, boy, I just met you. Yeah, I'm talking to people.
And they be feeling so good as well because they talk to everybody without like,
Everybody.
and they
Nigga, who
feel
you
like we
talking
should,
to? Who you
right.
talking to?
Who are you talking to? And the
Prove
thing is,
yourself.
oftentimes they say it with chest. I remember talking to one guy, um, and this is when I was still on I still am, to be fair. I don't talk to people because I can't stand their asses. It's not because I'm trying to, like, do what I did when I was younger, which was obviously, you're a good girl, you only speak to one person at a time.
Yeah.
Society just kind of, I don't even know how I had that notion, but I know I had that notion.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember talking to a guy and then saying that. He was like, you must talk to a lot of guys. Guys love to say that as well. Why are you always worried about who I'm talking to? They're always so worried. So you must talk to a lot of guys. And I was like, no, actually, I don't. I'm actually just only speaking to you. And his
Yeah.
response was like, I said, are you? He goes, yeah, I'm talking to a lot of people. I mean, like, he didn't ever care. He was like, yeah. I talked to a few, like, yeah, at least, like, and I was like, okay. I remember at the time just thinking, but it is, he's just being honest. They're always honest,
Yeah.
and they're allowed to say shit like that. Had I
Yeah.
had said it, now I do say it if that's the case. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But then I'm judged differently.
Right.
Like, what are you
But
doing,
but
fast
but
ass?
and then see, that's the thing that bothers me about it because I remember having a conversation like that with my dad when I was little. I
Mm.
remember riding to school. It was one of those mornings where he took me to school and girl, he made me a bomb little breakfast sandwich and everything.
Oh.
And he's a cook, girl. Love it.
I told you I need a cooking ass one.
I'm
Did you
telling
not see
you,
what I sent you
girl.
on Instagram? I need to cook.
I saw that.
Living your best life,
Cook for
goddammit it.
me. Cook for
Please, three
me.
meals a
Serve
day.
me. I like to be
Oh,
served.
oh my God.
Shoot. But yeah, girl. We were riding. We were riding to school that morning, and we were talking about like things that go on in the school and the things that the boys talk about and the girls talk about.
Right.
And we're talking about how like as a young girl, if you start sleeping around or if you start, you know, interacting with boys in a certain way, like you'll have a bad reputation, how it follows you, it stays with
Right.
you,
Right.
and why you'll be called all these names, you'll be called a hoe, or you'll be called whatever it is that they calling girls at the time. And boys are not called that. And I remember asking my dad, well, why aren't boys called that? Why is it that a boy and a girl can do the same thing and then the girl is judged harsher? Like, what is the
Meanwhile, it's
difference?
probably the boy that's run after her, even to get
You
her
pursued
to
her.
even, you pursued her without fail, yeah. And then she
Yeah.
gives in, and then all of a sudden, but I think it's also telling of all of a sudden her values diminished. But
Right.
it's also telling though, men, I think I wrote about it one time, and how men don't even understand, like men have a lot of issues just like we do, but the difference is they don't even know. Because if you are the thing that enters me and then makes me dirty, don't you see that you are the problem? You do you not see how you're viewing? To be fair, it's very internal and very subconscious. It's like, because they clearly feel like that, but they don't know. Even though they're saying it and they're not realizing, subconsciously the soul is very intelligent. And the being in general is very intelligent, even if we are not conscious. That your whole aura is conscious. So you're literally the problem. You are the virus. Because you're saying that when you enter me, I become dirty and I'm a hoe and I'm trash because you have laid with me. How do you see yourself? You don't know that you see yourself as really repulsive or really low, you know? So every time I hear them say stuff like that, and I'm just like, it is so telling. And these are the kind of men that are running around. They have such low self-esteem and such low self-worth, but they don't even realize that it's low self-esteem and low self-worth. They actually think it gives them confidence. Or although a part of me wonders, you know, I'm not a man. I wish, I don't wish I was a man, but I wish, you know, I could know what was going through their heads when they, because, you know, like, surely the feeling of, they must have that inside them, you know, because even when they lay with you at times and they're so repulsed by you, you know, I've had friends who have said that they've laid with guys and at the end of it they felt really disgusting and horrible afterwards. And I'm like, you're feeling disgusting and horrible because this person is offloading all of this horrible and disgusting energy that they feel about themselves and towards you into you. So of course afterwards you're feeling yucky. But I'm like, do you as a man, they must do, because you know they say they lay with women and they can lay with a woman, she's a hoe, I won't kiss her, and they lay with her. That's how they're able to do the rape thing as well, because the rape is not sex, it's power and assault, right? It's violence. But you're able to extract quote unquote pleasure from this thing that you think is so disgusting. Why do you want to extract pleasure from something that you think is so disgusting? You know, you must honestly, how do you feel about yourself when you're done? You must feel disgusting, right? Because that's why they say, I'm not gonna kiss her. And you hear them say, like, there was a guy I told you, I showed you on Instagram, he was sleeping with an old lady. She was a lot older than him, like grandma levels.
I remember.
And again, if that's what you want to do, whatever, like, but you've gone to sleep with her, she's telling you use a condom, you're saying you don't want to use a condom, you get her pregnant. And of course the old lady, she'd been looking for kids her entire life, so she was like, fantastic, I'm keeping this baby. She tells you and you're like, you're disgusting, I'm embarrassed to sleep with you, I don't even like your friends seeing me when I come inside your house. Oh my God. And you think that makes me, like, you think that's making me bad or that's hurting my feelings, but that is literally telling of how you view yourself. Like,
it's the thing that has always confused me is, how is it that somebody is now less than you or dirty or a hoe or what, all these negative things, but you still want to be with them.
You want to be with them,
yeah. Like when you even hear it, like guys will talk trash to impress their women. They'll talk trash about another woman, like, look at her, look how she's dressed.
Yeah. That's
look at this one over here, look at what she has going on. Oh, I heard about her, you know. I remember, it's so funny, I remember my ex saying that about another
I never forgot it.
Girl, he was talking
Celebrity.
about this girl. Yes.
Is that the one? I remember.
He was talking about this girl. Which one you talking about?
The celebrity that has the...
Yes.
Yes. I knew it's that one.
Girl, let me tell you, he was talking about this girl and he made her out to be like this person that was just wild. And he painted this picture of her like she was just doing something so crazy and she was just a hoe and ran through and
meanwhile his ass probably never hit that. He would have loved to.
He would if he could, girl.
Would have loved to.
He'd be first in line.
Please.
He love it. She didn't give you the opportunity.
Right.
And it's crazy to me because that's what they do. You'll sit there and you'll talk about a
Mm.
woman and you'll degrade her and you'll say that she's so worthless when in fact you would, if you could, have her.
I also feel like a lot of their issues towards
Mhm.
women, or the so-called disgust that they have, is to do with their want to control us. If you make a person believe that they're less than,
Mhm.
then it's very easy for you to control them. They literally, what they do is they control the narrative around
Mhm.
us and our bodies and our pleasure,
Mhm.
but they don't see themselves.
Right.
Or maybe they do, they must do, they just don't let us know. Like I was saying earlier,
I
they
think they do.
must,
I
they must
think it
feel
depends
it.
on certain things. So it's like, so to your point, it's like, well, I want you to sleep with me.
Mm,
I'm gonna go out of my way to try to convince you to sleep with me.
right.
I'm gonna pursue you to get you to
Mm,
sleep with me.
you know, as we do.
Manipulate you, chase you, and lie to you to get you to sleep with me. But you are still less
Less
than.
than
You are
me. Right.
trash for sleeping with me and
Right.
for every other guy
Right.
that manipulated you and chased you
Right.
into sleeping with them.
Right.
Like, I don't know why, first of all, you just wouldn't be appreciative that somebody decided to give your worthless behind some ass. First of all, count your blessings.
Right.
And you know, I think it's really disgusting that you know, it's been like this for a while. And you know, music, I've heard it for a long time growing up. I've heard it in these conversations about how a woman is supposed to be. I've always heard these types of conversations about a woman's reputation, or, you know, oh, she's a hoe. And I love when I hear men say that. I love to ask them, why is she a hoe? What makes her a hoe?
Right.
Because what is, like, what do you define as a hoe? Because when
Right.
I hear them say things that sound like, you know, a definition of a hoe, it
That's
just
you.
always sounds like they're describing themselves. Somebody that what sleeps
Do you
around.
know
It's
what?
like
Yeah.
somebody that sleeps around,
It's so fucking funny, but
somebody
it's true. Yeah.
that'll sleep with, you know, a
Anything
person and they
really.
friends, just anything. And that's them.
And then on top
It's
of
like
that, they
you have
have really
no
bad
standards for
character.
yourself. They what?
Zero. And then they have really bad character on top of that, you know, like really terrible. Because there's women that you're calling hoes, right? The one that you're saying that she's a hoe, right? She
Yeah.
literally, oftentimes, one, she might just want to have sex, which she's allowed to be.
Yeah.
And two, though, back to the manipulation tactic that you spoke about.
Mm.
In any other situation in life, whether you're working or even amongst themselves on a friendship tip, you know,
Mm.
any, it is not okay to manipulate and lie to get something. It is not okay. It's never heralded. You're a bad person. But there is a universal agreement amongst the patriarchy that
Mm-hmm.
it's actually okay to manipulate and lie to women. And in fact, they feel really fulfilled and their egos are kind of puffed up when they do that. And
Yeah.
it's like, why is that even celebrated? Why do you feel so pumped up or so excited that you have manipulated and lied to this person to not even get them to sleep with you? It's not even like you came with her with chest,
Yeah.
quote unquote, she's a hoe. You know, you didn't even come to her with chest. You manipulated her into this situation, and on
Yeah.
top of that, you're still calling her a hoe.
Yeah.
And back to what you were saying earlier, you mentioned earlier, or you were going into it about you know, men calling these women hoes and stuff because really they want them, the ones that they
Mm-hmm.
can't get. Obviously, you have the ones who sleep with you, then call you a hoe. Then you have
Right.
the ones who are just really jealous of you living your best life.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're a hoe, you're this, but really they would love to have you. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But they can't.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings me back to a tweet I saw by a lady. She's a writer as well. She's called like Tony Tones or something. And it was talking about how, I love the things she posts as well, because there's so many things that we all think. And she
Mm-hmm.
was saying how you have to be careful of the men who have so much pleasure in humiliating and mocking and gaslighting a woman that they actually truly like.
Mm.
But because they know they can't get her, they love it. So they spend so much time insulting her and trying to make out like she's trash.
Right.
But really, you want her. And that's something I remember that older generation saying when I was growing up about men. a lot. The one thing that I heard consistently from a lot of the older women around me was, when you hear a man, because I would hear men constantly cussing women as well, like, oh my God, the way she dresses, the way she's walking, she's overweight, she doesn't look attractive, her hair's not nice, like everything about women would just be scrutinized. And I remember being women saying, he just likes her, that's what he does, he fancies her, that's why he's insulting her. And this is a notion that has been pumped into their brains since they were really young, because again, in the playground, what do they say? Oh, he hits you, so it's because he likes you, you know what I mean? So oftentimes when you hear them insulting women, it's literally just because they are so attracted to this light, and then but they're irritated at the attraction to the light. You know what I mean? It's almost like,
go ahead.
No, go, bro, go. I'm done.
No, it's almost like what?
No, I'm saying it's almost like they want to be us. You know, there's a certain level, apart from also wanting us, they have this admiration. We are creators, we are innate goddesses, and they know, like, so
their whole life is about chasing women. Of course, they adore and they're obsessed.
Literally, this, like, and we don't know, it's just like racism, but they don't want us to know that we're lit. That's why they're obsessed. That's why they're oppressing us. They're like, you're not good enough. But I feel like there's also this, and I think I saw a psychologist speak about it one time. I think I sent it to you, when she talked about little boys being jealous of little girls, in boys that picked on little girls. It's like, because there's a level of like freedom that they think that we have, and this level of, you know, just, it's that divine feminine light. It's really powerful. So we kind of just do us. And then I feel like there's a bit then, and they feel like they're not allowed to do, even though they are. It's the patriarchy again, restricting you and telling you that this is quote unquote feminine and you shouldn't do it. You are feminine too. You're half masculine, half, we all are. So you can do anything you want to do. But I feel like there's a level of like jealousy and resentment, because they think that we are so amazing and that we have such a phenomenal experience. Even though we don't, you have the best experience. But they see that light. And I just think there's a lot of jealousy and resentment.
You know what? I agree with you. It definitely is resentment and jealousy. It's funny because I'm gonna bring it back to when you mentioned Lori. You know, when women, first of all, I don't know her personally, but she's beautiful. She's a young girl. She's living a life. And it's when you see these men that want to come for her and attack her for being a single woman, girl, all of them would be with her if they could. Bruh, they could never.
If she agreed to one, they would. In fact, their friends would be like, "Did you not say she was a hoe?"
If she let them,
bruh, he would be like, "I didn't say she's a hoe. She's wonderful." He would change his tone.
Girl,
would be like,
he would have corrected
"You ain't dogging
himself.
her." No,
he would have corrected himself so quick. Well, it's funny to me though, because it's like, men, this woman that you think is a hoe, or that you want to call a hoe, these women that they like to talk about like that, like. Obviously, when you can get them, you try to, but those are not even the ones that they actively pursue. Like the woman that's like being straight up with you, like you do pursue her because you want her, but you know at the end of the day she knows who she is.
No challenge for them. There's
it's no challenge, because you could literally go for the woman that's like, hey, I just want to kick it. Hey, I'm trying to Netflix and chill with you too. You know, you don't go for those women. You want to go for the woman.
You look at those women as trash as well.
You look at those women as trash. You want to go for the woman that specifically maybe wants a relationship, or a woman that wants something that you know that you don't want to provide and you can't provide. And you go out of your way to pursue this woman because it's the conquer, it's the challenge. You want to feel like you've now coerced her into this thing with you. Yeah. So you want to manipulate this girl when you can have this other girl easily. And the one that you're manipulating, you convince her to be with you, only to dog her out and trash her, and then later come back and now talk about her when you're the problem from the jump. Like you said initially, it's like you can't sleep with somebody. You can't sleep with somebody and now call this girl a hoe when she's just slept with you. So what does that make you?
And it's like they don't actually. I think every time we ask them those questions, do you notice that they don't connect? It's weird. They know it's stupid, but I think they've been told for so long that it's okay. They don't actually think of what that means for them. They're so busy projecting onto us, because that's what they do. That's projection.
It is.
There's no way.
So they feel about themselves.
It is, because you're so busy projecting onto us. You can't even take a time to be self-aware. Because if you were even self-aware, you would be like, that don't even make sense. Like, how am I saying that she a hoe when I'm laying with her? Or like, you know, but they're not. They're just so used to projecting onto us, and they're so used to like validating themselves off of our supposed weakness.
Yeah.
That they don't even take a minute.
None of them check themselves. They don't check each other either.
They don't.
Even if there is one that feels like, I don't believe in that. Like, we can't call call women hoes for doing the same things we do, or just having sex. Like, I mean, how old are we? We're grown, like, right?
Do you know what I mean?
If you grown and you having sex and you living your life, why is it your business?
Sex? Why
are you so bothered? Like, you sound real childish.
You're not bothered about the man though.
At all. I feel like at this point where we are in this day and age, like, I feel like that's such an outdated conversation.
Very juvenile adolescent conversation. In fact, the adolescents ain't even having it, to be honest.
No, it's like, it's such an outdated conversation just to be calling a woman a hoe for doing the same things, for living her life and being sexually free. Like, a woman is not your property. Though, she doesn't belong to you. You know, single women apparently are other people's property as well. Like, you're not supposed to be sleeping with nobody and living your life. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I feel like if there is a man that feels like that's stupid and he doesn't subscribe to that, even if he does, I find it's going to be a rare man that will actually check another man and be like, you lame as hell. Why would you call her a hoe?
Very rarely, yeah. They're very they're not as loud with each other. You know, it takes a certain type of man, like you said, to be able to stand up. Because, you know, they say men are scared of other men as well, because they bully each other too.
Girl, be scared as hell.
Yeah, be real scared. So,
you'll puff your chest out to a woman, but you won't puff your chest out to another man.
A man, never. Yeah, they're really scared of each other as well. So they don't necessarily he might have these thoughts privately and silently, but to actually stand up for us. And even to be honest as well, it's crazy. I was thinking this earlier. I know people might disagree with me, but I think that, like, even there is no male, even the ones who say they stick up for us and equality, right? Even the, Instagram, Twitter, motivational speakers, ultimately, there's not one that I see that I think even understands our plight. A lot of it, one, I think, is performative. And then also, there will still also then somehow, the patriarchal, misogynistic views will come into it. Remember that one that we spoke about, right? I used to follow him, I unfollowed him. But he used to post and we thought he was great and he understood women. He talked about women, do your thing, men are trash, you are equal. And then I don't know, maybe he got into a relationship. Maybe because people are crazy. So maybe he did all of that. And we know that men take their time to be relationship counselors and all of this shit that they don't actually believe, which makes it even more scary, because it's like, that means you know how to behave. You just choose not to behave like that. But you say all of these things. He was saying all of these things. And then I think he started dating somebody, I don't know. And then he just came back. And when he came back, he was real amplified with the chauvinism. I couldn't believe it was the same person. It now turned to, I remember we were talking about it, it now turned to, well, if you want to be addressed, then you have to be dressed decently, and you shouldn't have an OnlyFans, and you shouldn't. His advice completely. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I really thought that you were for us, but you are not. And I don't know, maybe you know someone, but I don't know a single person, even online, man, that I think speaks about us and speaks about us from actually a true place of understanding and genuine, what's the word? Genuineness or genuity? I don't know. One of those words. You know, my English, I always struggle with this English. No, I really do. I'm listening. In fact, let me go back to this accent, because this is the problem. When I'm doing that, in genuine, I twist my tongue. I twist my goddamn tongue. I'm gonna talk like I'm talking like this. This is it. I beg. If I switch back to that English accent, remind me, it's gone. Because I can't. That's why I keep twisting my tongue. It's not for me. But yeah, so I find it. I don't know about you, but I just have not seen any of them. I find that they're not really for the true liberation of women. It comes with a buts and a like, you're free and you're liberated, but you know, they don't actually believe that we should just have absolute, and all I want, and I think, you know, ultimately, I don't know about everybody else, but all I want ultimately is for women and for myself, all women, to be free to live their life and make their choices. That is it. I don't care if you think her choice is right or wrong. That is not your business. Just leave her alone to be free and to experience life how she wants to experience life. Like, you don't have that right to dictate her life experience. Like, you don't have that right to tell her that she can't have pleasure in this way, or that if she does this, she's less than. No, just focus on yourself.
Or even why is it that you deserve to enjoy
that right.
like if we're speaking like on a basic
you love
level,
sex,
something
right?
like sex, right? You enjoy sex, and you enjoy it so much that you've designed and structured this system where you get to have
as many as you want. So why can't we?
As much sex as you possibly can. In fact, the more sex you have, the more credit you get as being
such
the man.
crap sex as well.
Like,
the sex is always worthless.
Girl be trash sex.
God.
But it's like, you now get credit of being the man, like you the ladies' man, like you that dude, you that guy, for having as many women as possible and enjoying sex. Now, God forbid, like, why is it that you have put yourself up on this pedestal that you are allowed to have sex? They don't realize how sick they sound. But you as a woman, just because you're a woman, you should not enjoy sex, and you should not be having a lot of it. Maybe have a partner too. It's guys that really get mad because they'll have a conversation with a woman that they're interested in, and she's phenomenal. And you're like, well, they ask dumb things like, how many people have you been with?
Right. And have you slept with my friend? And all of these unnecessary shit. Like,
and depending on what she says, and depending on how many people she says she's been with, men go, oh, well, nah, you've been with too many men.
What are you
How many men
about?
was I supposed to be with?
How dare
what
you?
Is the number of men? What is the number of men that a woman is supposed to be with that makes her not a hoe? Like, what is that number? You know what I mean? Like,
that's why they push the notion
ridiculous.
of virginity, though. You know that even the notion of virginity is stupid. I saw it on Twitter again. When the mind is like, when they've got you so worked up and so like in their little matrix, you don't really reason the madness of it. Even the notion of virginity is really mad.
Yeah.
Like, your penis is nowhere near powerful enough to take anything from me. Let me tell you that again, in case you're misunderstanding. Like, your penis does not change me. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because even the notion of virginity is only for women. They very rarely ever push it for men anyway.
Yeah.
Probably because they know it's stupid. So it's only me. I'm no longer a virgin. You know how they push the things also about, that's why I can't stand marriage, but you push the thing about, you know, the bride, she must have kept herself for a husband. She's not been entered by anyone, that she's pure, right?
Yeah.
And she has to wear this pure white gown to prove her virginity.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Girl, is trifling.
Like, it's actually.
So I need to be pure, but you could be all tampered with,
right?
Right. Filthy.
Supposedly, you know, you're like, but it just comes back down. One, their lack of understanding, because men don't understand anything, is what I think. I've realized they don't really understand things. They think they do, but they don't, because they don't have the level. I don't even think that. Not that they have the capacity. They have the capacity to be emotionally stable. They have the capacity to be self-aware, but society doesn't allow them. It grooms them from very young to not be self-aware, and to not have the capacity to deal with stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I just don't find them. I don't know. I just. It boils down to control for me, and a lack of their self-awareness. They just don't know who the hell they are. They don't like it. They don't like themselves either. They don't very much like themselves. And even the men that say things like that, think about it, it's men like Kevin Samuels, you know. It's men like Kevin Samuels who think that they are the men to be. And obviously, which woman? It shocks me, to be honest, every time I see people calling in, but it just shows the kind of state we're in. But because you are really not even the kind of man I'm trying to impress. God forbid you repulse me. Kevin, you are repulsive to me. You don't even know how repulsive you are to me. You're not even the kind of man I'm coming to for advice if I was trying to get anything. Like, who are you?
Girl, bye.
And it's just us though. Women are really oppressed in a powerful way. Like you were saying earlier, heaven forbid we want to have sex, just in general. And you have to ask yourself as a man, like you said, why do you see it so bad? Because you don't think it's bad, because you be having the sex.
Especially if you
it's like
enjoy
they want to make it a boys' club.
It's this great thing and you enjoy it. You have to have sex with somebody.
So
You're
why
having
can't
sex
I?
with us. But I shouldn't enjoy it and I shouldn't want to do it. And the ones that do it with you all, these women are now labeled as hoes for giving you what you wanted anyway.
It's crazy.
And then it's like, but you're not labeled a hoe. And you get to have as much of it, this amazing thing that you enjoy, that you're doing everything that you do is to try to get some. So it's like it has that much value to you that you're constantly pursuing it, constantly hunting. Men like to be on the hunt, but they say you're like a challenge. Like you're constantly hunting, trying to get some ass, but then a woman should not want any or enjoy any. And if she has any, it needs to be very little. Like it's just ridiculous at this point, you know. And I think when we're talking about what a hoe is, I think it's just outdated trash mentality. You know,
it is to call anybody a hoe, to be honest. I think let people do what they like.
Yeah.
And sex again, the demonization of sex. You know how like that's the problem.
That's what I was about to say too. I love that you said that, because when you think about sex, it's just that it's looked at as a dirty thing or a bad thing. But I think that sex is obviously, it can be used in violent ways, like anything can be used in violent ways. And it's used as an oppressive tool to keep women in this box. But sex can be so beautiful. And I think sex can be obviously there's much more intimate levels of connection that you can have with people outside of being physical. And I think if we're going to talk about refraining from having sex as women, the only time I see that as something that's really empowering is when you truly understand yourself and who you are spiritually. And you don't want to have sex with somebody, not because you're trying to be this good girl and you want to keep your numbers down, but because you understand that your space is sacred. And so many of the people out here are not worthy to be with you. As in, like, they're not even spiritually growing
working
or elevated in
none
any
of that.
way.
The energy is not good enough to be near your energy, and
at all. And then now to combine your energy with them, and this person thinks less of you. You know, you're taking on that, whether you realize it or not. We take on that energy the same way you walk into a building and you can see when you don't even know that somebody just fought, but you could feel the energy, you could feel the tension sometimes when you walk around certain people. So this energy is there, whether we recognize it or not. So now when you lay with somebody, there's such a deep connection, a physical and spiritual connection. And now I'm laying with you and you think less than me. And God, we don't know how many people you've been with. You know, people that may not even be working on themselves spiritually, and then now you're bringing all of that energy into my sacred space. Please.
I agree. Definitely. You talked about intimacy and sex, right? And obviously, you know, there's different forms of intimacy, but the thing is, I think that sex initially, when it was created, I feel like I'm a hedonist, right? Well, I'm getting there. I'm a pleasure seeker. Again, pleasure is something that is so demonized, but listen, I don't know about everybody else, but I came to this life to just enjoy my life. I just want pleasure. All the lies that they have told about suffering, I reject it. I am a pleasure seeker and I live in pleasure and abundance, you know? But yeah, I find that, you talked about sex and intimacy, and it's so powerful because they, sex is so powerful that that's why it's so demonized anyway. So we can't utilize the energy to do greatness, right? Bear in mind, sex is the only thing on this planet that will give forth to life. The only act, apart from, you know, obviously we can do it other ways, you know what I mean? But the only act, that will bring forth life, that can that can cause that spiritual realm to create and bring into the physical realm, right? And also, sex is also mind-blowingly pleasurable, obviously, when you're doing it properly.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it is a powerful level of intimacy. Like, but And this is why, but they demonize it and downgrade it to turn it into just bastardize it into this just thing that you just do anyhow. And again, not saying you can't have sex regularly with loads of people, but be intentional about what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They're not intentional about the act that they're actually having the act. So
Yeah.
you're losing its potency.
Yeah.
You're losing. This act will create a life. So imagine if you're now being intentional about your sex, who you're having sex with, and also your thoughts and your mind when you're doing it. Like you said about laying with somebody that is that doesn't think good of you. You know, he's looking at you like you're less than. That energy is going to enter you. Yeah. And they also say to you, whereas if you're with someone that thought you were amazing, or another thing that I noticed as well, you know, if you talk about sex, you can't talk about God and sex because it's not God that created sex for us. Like, oh my God, no, don't talk about God and sex. That's terrible. No, talk about God during sex. Pray during sex. Do your affirmations during sex. That is how it is supposed to. You use that energy that creates. No, honestly, do you know what I mean?
Girl,
like,
I want
use
that.
I'm telling you, that's the only way I'm going down. That's the only way I'm breaking this celibacy.
Girl.
If you're not there, just don't touch me. I beg, get off. But like, you use that energy, that power, and then feel the intimacy and create what you want. But we're not allowed to see it like that. It's literally, if you're having sex, then you're going against God's will.
Yeah.
And you are a hoe. So you completely even miss the level. It's like you miss the level of intimacy that it should actually create. And then you're just, I don't know what you're doing. I don't even know the word to use for it. You're just throwing it like willy-nilly and not even paying attention to, and you're exhausting yourself. Level. Like, and that's why a lot of them leave us unsatisfied. Think about how many times, like, think about when we be having sex and the man is completely blown by your level of tenderness, or like, you know, they just don't know how to, they love this thing so much, but they don't even know how to have sex.
Yeah, they can't.
You don't even know. Like, you're
2
literally
seconds
having,
and they're up.
Bro,
I'm done.
So what have you been doing? So all of those girls that you're sleeping with, that's what you are doing. And we all complain about the same thing. So it's like, you're not even good at sex.
No, they're not good at it at all.
So whereas if you stopped and took your time to be intentional about sex, even if you're having intentional sex with a million people, what's your business? But to be intentional about sex, it would make it better for everybody, us as the woman, and for you, your experience, even your mind. It would help your mind, because your mind clearly is not reasoning properly.
Right.
You think you're reasoning properly, but you have a problem. You actually have a problem as a man. That's not normal. That's not a normal thing to be doing. Not even normal. It's a normal thing for men, but it's not a healthy thing to be doing.
Right.
To just be ejaculating every woman that you want to, and then you look at them as trash and you feel great once you've dominated her. Why is your self-esteem and your self-worth judged by the domination of this woman? That's a problem for you. You have to check yourself. But I think that a lot of men don't.
Because that's where they put their own worth.
That's
so her worth is, but she's having a lot of sex, so she has no worth. But because my self-esteem is so low as a man, I have to now give my self-worth because I'm doing that very thing that I don't want her to do. You know, I got all the hoes, so you know I'm the man. Like this, that is your worth. Your worth is simple as the amount of people you can sleep with. You represent and stand for and have no other meaning other than that.
They're so
and that's
conflicted.
A shame.
I think honestly, the bottom line,
miserable,
we were talking about real miserable. Like, you know, the bottom line, we were speaking about why is it okay? You know, why is she a hoe? And you're not a hoe. And honestly, I don't think a lot of men are ready for the conversation, but I think it boils down to their absolute lack of self-esteem. Because even and their lack of understanding. Because
they're insecure.
And they are so insecure, because if not, like, how else can you, and you'll need to dominate us. If not, at this stage in our lives, like you were saying, like, you should have a certain level of understanding to, how do you not know that to demonize somebody for doing the exact same thing? It's like, you know how we always talk about, they say, pull the log out of your eye before you pull it out of someone's eye, someone else's eye, put the splinter out of yours instead of, and it's very true, because it's a skill. I don't know if many adults I feel like it's a coming of age depending on how you grew up. You know, if you grew up with very self-aware people around you, conscious people, then you're very in tune with your emotions and knowing how to feel your emotions and your feelings and why you feel the way you do. But if you don't, right, I think it's a stage that we all pass through. I know I definitely passed through it when I started to realize that, because we all live in a way, right? We live like we're good to tell other people about themselves, but we extend a lot of grace to ourselves, but we don't extend grace to the next person. So you could be doing something that another woman is doing, but she's doing it and she don't get it, but I'm doing it because I get it. I'm not doing it for the same reasons as her. I'm different. But there comes to a stage in life on your journey when you realize you're actually not different. You can tell yourselves all the excuses you want in the world. That's the same thing the other person is telling themselves. So you have to either learn to extend grace to them as well, or decide, you know what, this is actually not for me. I want to change. Yeah. And I find that a lot of men don't actually get to that stage in their lives properly where they start to realize that, you know what, this thing that I'm doing, these women are no different. So allow them to do it. Or, you know what, this thing that I'm doing, it's because I really don't like myself. That's why I'm calling her a host. Let me not do it anymore. They never get to that level of self-awareness. They're never taught it. So they kind of just carry on through life thinking and just laughing about their stupidity. You know, like it's just, you listen to them talking to each other and stuff. And it's just, they just carry it on through life, even up to like 50, 60, 70. They'll still be sending women and talking about she's a hoe and this one twerking and this one, because meanwhile they love, please, especially going to the club. Men be loving to go to the club. They love to go out and have a good time. But you can't meet a wife in the club. She always in the club. But you're in the club. Right. You're allowed to go out and have a good time. So why is she not? Again, because that level of self-awareness.
Because a woman shouldn't enjoy herself. She should be miserable. Shouldn't. She should be in the house serving somebody. You know, it's funny because when you talked about like praying and bringing God into it, like, that's so interesting to me because God obviously gave us sex. Yes. Right. And that is one of the most powerful forms of manifestation.
It is. Literally brings a life.
The only way we can bring a life forth. So you know,
imagine what else you can manifest with that same energy. Please.
Girl. But it's
millions.
It's funny to me though, because see, a lot of times it's used. If God, the only way that people know how to bring God into it is by shaming a woman because you're not honoring God, or you're not. You know, this is how you're not. This is how you're supposed to be as a woman according to the Bible or according to whatever biblically, and just spiritually as a woman, you should be like this. Your body is a temple, blah blah blah. But it's like, so you're aware of the Bible, let's say, or you're aware of God. And you think that that's why I should behave myself. But then what do you think that God is going to say to you when you got all these bodies under your belt and you go and meet God? Is God going to now go like,
you're okay because you're a man?
Yeah, you're a man. Good. Oh, how many? Oh, awesome. Like, you did great.
No, because, you know, they're telling God, no, God, see, I'm not a hoe like her. The same thing, the lack of self-awareness. I'm doing it because, you know, I just like to have fun. She's a hoe.
Do you think that they think that? Do you think that they ever
their brain goes there?
They don't even think like, well, what is God thinking of me?
No, I think that they do. I think that they're actually repulsed by themselves. I do, because that's the problem.
Subconsciously repulsed, maybe though?
Subconsciously. Because not even subconsciously, because I know a lot of men that would even say, like, there was one guy that I knew that used to cheat on his wife, and he would say every time he cheated on his wife, he got on his knees and prayed. Anyway, and he cheats like quite regularly, you know. Just might as well not be married. But so I think that they do, and I think that's even part of the problem. They are really repulsed by it. And I've heard a lot of men think about that. I even know rapists who talk about sex and then be like, they think it's bad, but then they go to God and they praying all the time for this act that they're doing. That's the problem. They're misunderstanding it. I don't even think that they understand because if they understood the beauty of sex, my jigger, they would handle it. They don't even understand the beauty of sex. And we already know that they have self-confidence issues and they have self-worth issues. So of course when they're having this sex, they're not having sex because they actually think it's amazing and they understand the power of it. They're doing it under the guise that they think is disgusting. This is why they'll be sleeping with prostitutes, they sleep with you. They don't even feel good internally. So I don't even think that they believe that God will allow them. I think that they believe that what they're doing is really trash. But that's just what they're supposed to do.
But they don't put the same spiritual or religious
at all
restrictions on themselves as they do women. It's interesting.
With us. No, because obviously religion is something they use to completely oppress us. Completely. As women, you know, like we are completely oppressed. Like God is no longer a woman, even though the only thing that makes sense is that the creator has to be feminine energy, because that's the only creative energy. From the beginning of time, our ancestors said God was feminine energy. Chi is a feminine energy, the energy of the world. You call her Mother Earth, Mother Nature, for a reason. So, but they just don't, they're really just repulsed. I think that they find it disgusting as well. They don't even understand the power of it either, because if they did, they would behave in a different way. They don't understand it. And this is why if you tell a guy now, unless he's anyone who thinks like that cannot really see, does not understand the power of sex, and they see it as a bad thing and they demonize it. They do. Because if you do actually understand sex and you don't see it as a bad thing and it's not demonized, then what would you do? You would act accordingly, but they don't act accordingly because they don't have the capacity. In fact, when I talk to people about saying affirmations during sex or praying during sex, it's such a foreign notion to them, because like, no, that's bad. You're meant to be, how can you be praying during sex? You're taking a piss. Like, you can't bring God into it. They want it to be dirty, filthy, nasty. They love to say stuff like that. There's no sacredness to the sex. So no, I don't think that they
and that's the only way I want sex.
The only way. That's the only way to have it. It's mind-blowing. Girl. Any other way is, like I said, everybody likes good things in this life. And I've decided that I will only get good things in my life. In all forms. I don't do mediocre. I don't do no. Like, why would I? Like, I am a goddamn queen. I'm up here. Anything I want is. So why would I want to have your mediocre sex that has no meaning, that has no intimacy, that has no feeling, you know? Like, I don't want to have that. So yeah, like, she's the long and short of it is that she's not a hoe. Or ask yourself, why is she a hoe and why I'm not? As a man, you know, and even women who also think like this, I hope you're listening to our conversation and it's kind of helping you to see things maybe in a different perspective. But honestly, you know, if you're a man and you find yourself saying things like, she a hoe, or she's been run through. I remember another person tweeted a while back talking about, nobody wants a woman who's been run through. These times he has 7 baby mothers, for goodness sake. You know, you have to ask yourself, okay, why is she a hoe and I am not? You got to do some real self-awareness and some real digging. Because when you call a woman a hoe, it says a lot more about you than it does about her. It means you don't even understand sex, and you don't even understand, and you have no self-confidence and self-worth, to be honest. That's what I believe. And you really shouldn't. Let's just stop the demonization of women and the demonization of sex, you know?
Period.
Like, let women live their lives and you to live your life. Men, I really want men. My wish for you, men, honestly, is to just live your lives as whole, powerful, especially Black men, you know, whole, powerful kings that know their self-worth and know their self-confidence. It is about time, guys. Come on. We are all waking up. We need you to wake up too, man. Step into your essence as a divine masculine, you know, so that we can live in unity, for fuck's sake.
As it was intended to be.
It was intended to be. Like, listen, you have to, whether or not you like it, you have to really start to understand that we are equals. As a matter of fact, it could be argued that we're superior, but I won't do that today.
I mean, we're being honest here.
If we're being honest, but just honestly, you know, like, women are not less than you. And women, you're not less than men. You're not less than men at all. Like, you are exactly the same as them. Like, hold your head up high. Do not let them oppress you. Like, don't live any of your life for them. Don't not have sex because of them, and don't have sex only because of them. Just do whatever you want to do for yourself. Basically.
Everything. Everything. I love that. Oh, all right, ladies. Well, thank you for tuning in. And as always, you can find us at the POW Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And ladies, I very much so enjoyed this. Go have you some real intimate sex and have as much of it as you want to.
Yes.
All
All right.
ladies.
Until next time.
Bye.